Alright guys, welcome back to VALORANT News. More drama going down in the roster world last night with Scrims starting to emerge and what's been happening over the last few days with that brand new Sentinels roster, and also what Leviathan are cooking. Rumours of course that Aspas is not going to be on that roster at all going into next year, especially after the Bleed drama has now concluded, but Gen.G accidentally leaking a scrim between Sentinels and Lev last night. Will the same competitive ruling that Chet's got now apply to Gen.G? Will it be a different story given this was clearly accidental? But definitely there was lots to see in terms of the roles that these teams were trialing with over the last couple of days. Very much enjoy to your thoughts in the comments below. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new as always. There is no doubt that Sadak with this Bonjour mes amis is, he's going to be running it up on Carmine Core going into the upcoming season, banging the croissants down as well. Crystal, by the way, he signed a contract somewhere. He was linked to Liquid for some time. That never happened. The latest rumor was, I think, that he's going to go to Global Esports. So, yeah, we'll see what team they form for the upcoming season. So I'm expecting something on that side to get confirmed, of course, over the coming days. We also saw yesterday, well, we've got the new Doombringer, Phantom, whatever these things are having into the game. Just people saying, including Zeke, like, hey, why don't we have a replay system yet? They will talk about the replay system every, year, it seems, at this point, right? Where we effectively have, the developers of Riot saying, well, maybe in a few months we'll have more of an update, or maybe we won't. They are working on it. They did show some, progress developments. There are clearly reasons why it's a problem. Whether it ever properly arrives, I don't know. But, of course, the players want it, and it's certainly relevant to what we're going to discuss over the coming minutes. A couple of tournaments to speak of as well. We are getting into that time of the season where it's effectively Game Changers World Championship season, which means there will be more Game Changers drama to come, as there always is. But yeah, next month in November, Game Changers World Championships happen. Of course, Shopify Rebellion, they qualified officially for it as of yesterday. So congrats to those girls as always. EDG, PaperX, Trace Esports are the first three teams as well to be confirmed for the VALORANT Radiant Asia Invitational. So yeah, as announced, a total of 8 teams will compete, with the aforementioned 3 being the first to be confirmed. So yeah, there are going to be, as always in the off-season here, some interesting tournaments to see it with gaming, the world champions, can you believe it? PaperX as well, with whatever team that they are going to be having, likely the same basically as what they had for the most recent season. But of course there's been some speculation, could Aspas go over there or something? Seems unlikely, and not many teams, if any, can afford Aspas right now. We're going to discuss that as well over the coming minutes. But excited to see how these teams get on when we finally see them in action. There's also, of course, the Red Bull Homeground APAC qualifiers coming up in a couple of days' time. So we are going to get to see DFM, RRQ, Zeta, among other Pro League Division teams competing in pretty similar to what we saw in North America, and then we're going to get the winner of that qualifies for the international event. But yeah, so we're going to see these teams in action with whatever rosters they want to field. T1 there as well, I think, is particularly exciting to see how that team gets on, because on paper they should be, the favourites really, with the new team that they've put together and the time in which they've managed to achieve that. Team Vitality, they confirmed yesterday Les is joining the roster, pending league approval and all this. But we've known this rumour now for some time, right, that Les, of course, coming off Loud, they didn't have the money to support it. He was looking at options. There was theories that he might stay over there in that region, but he's decided that ain't the case. He's joining Vitality for the upcoming season. So yeah, this is a big deal for the organisation. They're trying to form a God squad. It's one of the key reasons, I imagine, why Durka decided to sign the contract we think he has anyway with Vitality, is that Les is coming in. So they are definitely trying Vitality to be the roster in EMEA that can most consistently compete with, the Fanatics of this world and try and become the best team in that region. There's been some contenders over the last couple of years, pending Visa and Riot approval, but this is now basically a done deal. One clip I wanted to share for you guys as well I thought was kind of fascinating. It's also relevant to what Marv was saying the other day about how Sentinels treated him so well, then DRG felt like a terrible organisation by comparison, although I'm not necessarily sure that is really the case as far as I'm concerned. But TenZ revealed, we know that TenZ, his health has always been a problem, right? Often getting unwell and stuff like this. And we've often talked about his immune system and that affecting his competitive play. But it turns out that TenZ was having intravenols, right, to help his immune system and make sure he was staying healthy. And Sentinels would pay for that every couple of weeks to make it happen and make sure he could compete at a high level. So I thought this is really interesting to hear, and again, another dub in the books for Sentinels.
It's actually it was the org. I remember one day I got sick or something, and so I had to miss a day of practice. And so the org the org was like, okay, we need to have a meeting. And so I go in the meeting and it's basically like, Tyson, your immune system shits. We are gonna pay for IVs every 2 weeks for you, just so you do not die when we're playing like the regular season and like being in tournaments and stuff. I'm like, all right, bet. And then that was kind of like how this year went. But yeah, they were straight up just like, yeah, your immune system's some ass. Like we're gonna do that. Why are you always sick? Bad immune system. I need to go back to doing IVs because I used to get IVs like basically done once every 2 weeks. And it's basically like an IV that pumps like a bunch of vitamins and like stuff to like enhance my immune system for a little bit. Normally I'd get it before travel and for the regular season. I haven't gotten sick like all year up until now, and I didn't do the IVs for a month. So it's probably my fault.
Obviously, Zeltis has his thoughts on what it takes to stay healthy, right? You know, lift a weight, eat a vegetable. Maybe that works instead. So, of course, mentioning this tongue-in-cheek, and obviously Zeltis then hits the response in the replies. But speaking of Sentinels, we've got to talk about this Scrim leak from last night. So, this is a screenshot of 11 seconds after this was accidentally made public by Johnqt. This was then taken offline. So, as you guys can tell, 2024, 10/8. So 8th of October 2024, I'm guessing this is a little while ago now. Well, I'm guessing that's what these numbers will be anyway. 10/8, which is probably the date, and then, 13, 17, 33, so more than likely the recording began at 17 minutes past 1 in the afternoon, basically. Usually that's how these numbers will end up playing out. But this gets uploaded 3 hours, 50 minutes worth of VOD. This was online for a very brief period of time before, of course, then it was deleted. So the VOD was accidentally published by Johnqt. So often what will happen is the players will practice and they will record their screen of the practice because there's no replay system, so this is the way you've got to do it. The coach usually, or whoever it is, the players, the coaches or whatever, they'll record their POV of the scrim and then they can go back and watch it back. They can say, okay, this round 13, we want to have a look at what happens here, how did the retake play out, and they can go watch it back and kind of determine what they should or could have done differently, right? So the players, the teams, they record their VODs, they upload them. They might not necessarily go back through and watch all 3 hours 50 of this, but they might skip through it and look at key moments they want to have a look at, and that's a pretty regularly done thing. The thing is that you'll tend to find, well, the easiest way to manage this is for someone to upload it to YouTube and then watch it back on there. But of course, typically it is left unlisted or private, right? So nobody can find the VOD publicly and they're only to be shared internally. Unfortunately for John, he clearly accidentally pressed public on this on his own channel, which is also why maybe if you are going to upload VODs to use for your own purposes, maybe upload them on another channel that isn't your official channel just in case it does go public. Maybe that's a lesson learned. But he accidentally presses publish on this. Obviously it got a few views in the first couple of seconds because people are like, this is interesting. And then there were a number of screenshots coming out of it. So these are just a few screenshots from the VOD that people got before it was then deleted. And mainly including Sentinels scrimming Lev. So this is a pretty big deal. Now, of course, we know the SEN roster. Now, I will say, if this scrim is actually from the 8th of October, then it's quite a while ago, isn't it? So things could have changed on certainly the Lev team. We know that the SEN team is sticking with Zek, Narrate, Bang, Johnqt and Zelsis on the starting core 5. But no, we find on the Lev side, Tex, Demon 1, Com, Flowstate, and this 9Z player, Rubcoid, who, may be staying with the team full-time. He may have been a trial. More than likely, that might have been what it is. Flowstate, I'm guessing, is just King. I don't think King's going anywhere. So, Tex, Demon 1, Com, King, +1, replacing Aspas, seems to be the understanding. Of course, the other point is, what about the roles? Because Zekken's on the Neon, no real surprise, Neon, Jet, Raze, whatever's necessary. Bang on the Omen, Zeltis is on the KO, and then this time it's actually Johnqt on the Sova, and then Narrate on the Cypher. So there was a bit of talk about this. Of course, here we are on the Sunset, just that is Narrate going to actually be the initiator? Because, obviously Fade and Gecko are great on those roles. Or is he just going to be stuck running the Sentinel and Johnqt is going to run the Sova on these maps? My theory might be that this might be the plan for Sentinels, at least as of this scrim. They were maybe trialing it out on the, Sova maps, maybe on Sova maps, then it's Johnqt that runs the Sova and Narrate runs the Sentinel. But on the other maps, I would imagine that they might swap that around. But intrigued to your perspective in the comment section below anyway. And we also had one here on the Haven, where the interesting comp here that was cooked up here by Sentinels was Zekken on the Yoru, Zelsis on the Cypher this time, with again Sova being run by Johnqt, Narrate on the ISO, and then Bang again on the controller on the Omen this time. So yeah, interesting stuff. Now obviously these numbers were generally favouring the Sentinels team, certainly this one, up 5-2. We're pretty sure that Sen have been doing very well in Scrims so far. But yeah, entertaining stuff. What is this going to mean, if anything, for Johnqt accidentally leaking this Scrim? Because we know that this information is proprietary or whatever, right? Proprietary information, which was, accidentally made public clear. And we saw what happened with Chet when he did that the other day. Before we get on to that, I just quickly wanted to mention what Limbo had to say on Aspas, because clearly in these scrims, Aspas isn't there. And the rumor has it that Aspas is like not coming back to Lev. Like, yes, he's not going to bleed because their organization is in full collapse, and maybe that was inevitable. But it doesn't seem like he's going back to Lev, either because he just doesn't want to go there, which I think is the main reason maybe, or he's just not going to be on the starting roster. That, I think, is how it stands. So there are 3 options that are interested, one of which is genuinely Dragon Ranger Gaming. Like, no BS. I know that it was memed about for some time, but it actually makes a bit of sense, right? They've got a Russian import, haven't they? So I think they already comment English. So that could be an actual possibility for DRG Aspas to actually become a thing. But yeah, I guess we'll see. It would be crazy. There is another team that is interested but doesn't have him as a first option. Now, I guess you can wonder, like, who wouldn't have Aspas, the best player in the world, arguably, as their first option. But, the reality is money is important. And there's only so much money to go around, and Aspas would demand a lot of it. Well, Lev would demand a lot of it to get Aspas onto the team. And then there's another team that Aspas really wants to go to, but they don't have the money to make it work. And if Lev don't afford to, if they can't afford to make that work for that money, and of course Aspas is the one that's decided to leave, like he's contracted to Lev, so they are not obliged Leviathan to treat him nicely. They can do whatever they feel like from a business POV, although that might of course end up being difficult for Aspas in the end. But do you guys think we're going to get a competitive ruling on Johnqt? Of course, Chet was banned for 6 months for revealing this proprietary information, scrimming this VOD that was private to the teams, and clearly there's some sort of rule that this stuff could not go public. Now, Chet did so deliberately, right? I mean, like, he knew what he was doing, he knew he was publishing this, and he, seemingly knew what the rules were, but thought maybe it wouldn't be enforced. I don't know. Maybe he wasn't aware of the rules, but that's no necessarily an excuse. Look, I feel like it was harsh, but whatever. He broke the rules in broad daylight, so Riot are going to punish him. That's what they decided to do. In Johnqt's case, it was quite clearly accidental. So I don't think it's going to be considered in the same way. But it is interesting, right? Because if nothing from Scrims can be leaked, all of a sudden you've got a 4-hour VOD that just goes up on YouTube. Like, obviously the repercussion is, well, it was an accident, my bad, which is true. But, like, are Riot going to do anything? I don't think they should or would or will. But it's just interesting to at least contemplate, I suppose. But very much into your thoughts, as ever, on all of this stuff in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new. Take care. And I'll see you next time.